Creating distributed virtual switch in vSphere 6. Okay, so far we have done some virtual networking. Yeah, we have a cluster. We have 3 hosts, right? Each ESXi host have 2 virtual switches. These switches are standard virtual switches. The standard virtual switches we create at ESXi host level. They are available in all licenses. You can configure VLANs using a standard virtual switching. At certain level, you can configure some load balancing policies. You can traffic shape outbound traffic, right? It's available in all editions, so you don't have to pay anything extra with that. The drawback of standard virtual switches, as you create them at ESXi level, so imagine if I have 100 ESXi hosts and I need to create um, a virtual switch. Let's say for iSCSI, for example, or vMotion on 100 ESXi hosts. Well, I have to do this task on each host. You can create a script for that, PowerShell, and run it. But again, you have to run it against those 100 ESXi hosts, right? And what if I need traffic shaping for inbound traffic as well? Or let's say I need a better load balancing for my network card based on real network load. Or let's say I need some advanced security features. I have NetFlow and I want to integrate NetFlow with my virtualized environment. And I want to create private VLANs. So if you want these advanced features and you don't want to go through the hassle of creating virtual switch for each host, or you want something centralized that you create it once and apply it to all your hosts, then distributed virtual switch is the way to go. Distributed virtual switch, as the name suggests, distributed. You create that at vCenter level. And once you configure networking in distributed virtual switch, you can apply those networking settings to all your ESXi hosts or collection of ESXi hosts, depends what you like. So you don't have to do that networking configuration at each ESXi host level. Sounds good? Yeah, it's very good. However, it comes with a price tag, because distributed virtual switch is available only for Enterprise Plus edition. If you purchase Enterprise Plus licensing, then you can use distributed virtual switch. If you have a standard license or enterprise license, all you have is just standard switch. Well, anyway, while you are working at the evaluation edition like I am, you can test all features of your vSphere, including distributed virtual switch. Because while you are in evaluation mode, all features are unlocked for you. It's like you are using Enterprise Plus Edition. So how to create distributed virtual switch? Well, it is fun. If I go here and go to related objects, I have here called distributed virtual switch. But do I have an option to create? Can you see it? Right? No. If I go to data center level, related objects, distributed switch, I can create it because that's the label you need to create distributed virtual switch. So let's create a distributed virtual switch. You might say, okay, I'm creating distributed virtual switch, but what about my existing networking? Let's say I'm using VM network and I'm using my management network, which is by default created on standard virtual switch. Well, you can migrate. You don't have to redo things. You can migrate your virtual networking, whether it's management network or iSCSI network, or I will not recommend iSCSI network, but if it's a management network or what? Yeah, virtual machine network, you can migrate them easily to distributed virtual switch, and I will show you that. So why I will not recommend migrating iSCSI? Well, that's what I do. That's what I do. They don't have to follow this, but um, if I whenever I get the chance to do iSCSI, I like to keep it standard switch. Some people are very fussy. They like to keep management network also on standard switch. But you don't have to worry about that because even if your vCenter is fried or damaged, right, your distributed switch will continue to function, but you will not be able to make any change because each ESXi got a copy of that dvSwitch or distributed virtual switch configuration downloaded to it locally, so it will continue to function. But in order to make changes, you need to have vCenter, of course. How many? Well, distributed switch doesn't mean that you can create only one distributed switch. No, you can create many distributed switch you like, and you can inside each distributed switch you can create many port groups. Okay, so let's create distributed switch here. I will call it dvSwitch1. This is my dvSwitch1 for location birth. Next, which version I would like. Version 5, 5.1, 5.56. I don't have any older hosts, so I will definitely go for the latest version, which is dvSwitch 6, which is compatible only with ESXi version 6 and later, and there are some new features, which is network IO control version 3 and IGMP snipping. With version 5.5 you have traffic filtering and enhanced LACP support, and version 5.1 you have management network rollback, health check, LACP, and version 5 you have NetFlow, port mirroring, and all that, network IO control. So 6 have everything, all the new features, everything. So I will go for this one. Number of uplinks. How many uplink ports I would like to connect? It depends on your your ESXi hosts. Well, I can say 3. I would like to use 3 because in my ESXi host I have 4 NICs. One of them for iSCSI and right now one for management, and I have 2 additional links which I would like to use for virtual machine network. So I would like to use the management one and the virtual machine networks one as an uplink for dvSwitch. I would like to keep iSCSI separate. Oh, cool. Network IO control, if I like to create or keep it enabled or disabled, I would like to keep it enabled. And oh, don't worry about the default settings. It's like having no control. Default port group, which is name is D port group. I can change the name of this one if you like. I would say, what should I say? Let me say um, DVM network, distributed VM network, and after that, what's the suggestion? Create a new distributed port group and add and manage hosts. Because we have already hosts, we need to add this host, the host to the distributed switch so that those hosts can use this distributed switch. Okay, finish. And it's creating dvSwitch or distributed switch. And here, distributed port group, I will find dvm network. I can create another distributed port group. I can say D management network. Distributed management network. I'm so sorry. Settings, I would like to keep it default. VLAN I can assign here. Port binding, which is fine. Static binding. Elastic ports automatically increase, decrease. These are the number of ports, like switches have ports, right? And dynamic binding as well. You see here. Deprecated. So those of you who are used to configure dynamic binding, it's better to not to use it anymore. Okay, so D management network, DVM network. I can create also DVM kernel or DV motion. Okay, we will talk about that later. Okay, now what? Now what? I have distributed switch. I have distributed port group, right? So here I have the creation. Here it's port group, like we can go do it here or we can do it here. This is for creating dvSwitch, this is for port group, and this one managing policies. I will come to that. But you see this host servers icon here? Yeah, that means here this way I can add hosts to this distributed switch or migrate physical virtual networking. So if I click this, here I have many options. Add hosts, add new hosts to distributed switch, or manage networking of hosts which are already connected to this distributed switch, remove host, or add host and manage host networking. I would like to say add host. Next. And here I can select all three of my hosts that I would like to add them to. You see, configure identical settings on multiple hosts, template mode. If I select this, I will do it settings just once with a difference. If I don't, you see here, you will see the change here. Let me don't select the template mode and see what happens to show you. Now, what I would like to do, I would like to manage physical adapters, means add them to the distributed switch, assign them to uplink, or remove existing one, manage VM kernel adapters, migrate VM networking, right? Manage VM kernel adapter means I would like to migrate VM kernel network adapters. For example, management port. It's a typical example of it. iSCSI. Though I don't want to do it in my case, but that's what it is. VM vMotion, right? And here, ESXi, right? VM NIC1 on this switch, correct? Right? Showing NICs and ESXi. Now what to do? Well, it all depends. If you want, let's say, vSwitch and uplink is port group, let's say assign uplink, I would say uplink 1. I can also say auto assign or uplink 1 or uplink 2 or uplink 3. I think we can say uplink 1 here, and uplink port group, okay, and VM2 assign uplink, okay. And here on other switch we have 2, 3, and 4. I don't have, by the way, it's 4. Just unclaimed 1, 2, and I have 3. So this is one way to do it. Okay. Or if I say reset the changes and say reset the changes, right? And I have on this switch, I have right now nothing. Other or unclaimed switch, I have VM and vSwitch 0. I have 1 and 2 free, right? And 3 is on vSwitch 1. So if I select just 2 with this one and see the settings, it is not in used in anywhere. Right? See? Other switch or unclaimed. And there is no switch name here. Correct? So I would say from VM NIC1, I would say assign an uplink, and I can choose auto assign. And same thing for here, assign an uplink and auto assign. You don't have to worry about that, which will assign to this one. On other switches, if I want, I can do the same thing. Here, assign uplink, auto assign, assign uplink. What we are doing basically here, we are assigning NIC1 and NIC2 NIC1 and NIC2 of ESXi hosts to this distributed virtual switch. I'm not touching right now those NICs which are part of which are connected to my existing standard switches. Okay, auto assign, auto assign. Okay, so VM NIC 1, NIC 2, NIC 1, NIC 2, auto assign for that. Next. Right now, look, now it's showing me those VM kernel adapters which I have, right? Just please understand the difference carefully, gentlemen. Here we are talking about logical networks like VM kernel networks, okay? Manage VM kernel network adapter. In previous screen, we were talking about physical network adapter. So if I don't select VMNIC 0 here, okay, means I don't want VMNIC 0 to be added as uplink to this distributed switch. However, if I select here that I have this management network and say assign port group and choose D management network, it means what? Physical NIC, I don't want VMNIC 0 to be used in this DV switch. However, I want to migrate my VM kernel network adapter to distributed switch. So my VM kernel network will also use NIC 1 and NIC 2 because here if you see NIC 1 and NIC 2 I'm assigning to distributed switch. So currently my management network is using physical VM NIC 0. But if I'm not migrating this or moving this physical NIC to distributed switch, and the next I just want to change the management port to the management network, so the management network will be moved to DV switch, but it will use these two physical NICs, not VMNIC 0 anymore, because VMNIC 0 will stay with vSwitch 0. Got it? A little bit confusing, but if you read about it, it will go simple. What we can do, or to avoid a confusion, I can even assign VMNIC 0 to auto assign. Okay, means VMNIC 0 will also be removed from virtual vSwitch 0 and it will be assigned to distributed group. So for ESXi1 I will also do the same thing, assign uplink and auto assign. And here see, I need to do this for all hosts, correct? But if, okay, so now 3 uplinks. They will move these NIC 0, 1 and 2, they will move. This physical NIC will be utilized for distributed switch. We have NIC 0, we have NIC 1, we have NIC 2 will be utilized for this distributed switch. 0, 1 and 2 will be utilized for this distributed switch. I'm not touching VMNIC 3. VMNIC 3 for iSCSI. I can move though, but I don't want to. This is my case. Okay. See, I need to do this for all 3 of them. Remember, if we go back, there was this template mode. So let me show you now template mode. If I go template mode, here I can select a template. Let's say I choose ESXi2. Okay. On ESXi2, I would say assign uplink auto, assign uplink auto, or uplink 1, uplink 2, uplink 3, and other switch you see, VM link also assign uplink or 3. Okay, and here we have an option, apply to all. So I don't have to choose this for ESXi1 and ESXi3 or ESXi4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 if I have many. So if I say apply to all, what will happen? ESXi1, same thing, and ESXi3, same thing. That's what template mode is. So it depends what you like to use. This is much easier though, yeah, I should admit. Now, you look. Now, if you don't want to look right now, it's a vSwitch 0. You have a VM kernel network called management network. Destination don't migrate, and there is a warning. With the warning, you might lose network connectivity, but I won't, so I will say migrate. So my management network will be migrated to distributed management network. And if I say apply to iSCSI, I'm not migrating right now. So if I say apply to all, okay. IP addresses too required because there is IP addresses. Remember, static host, receive the email configuration. This IP, okay. Need to write the IP address for all those two. So it will be 192.168.0.241, and I think comma will do. 192.168.0.243. I think yes, I let's see that. Yeah, enter IP in order, in ordered comma separated list. Yeah, this example by following up 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I can say as per this 192.168.1.4. I'll keep like this. That's better. Okay. One or more restoring IP range. Format describes option. Okay, so sorry about that. 0.241. You know what? I should do something to avoid confusion. Go back and go back. Choose ESXi1 as a template because that has the starting of IP. Okay, next VM link switch. Assign uplink auto link 1 auto link 2 auto. That's it. And apply to all. Okay. And VM kernel assigned to D management network. I'm not typing and say I'm not migrating iSCSI, so let's say configure edit adapters. Edit adapter, no need. So use settings to tell me the IP and the properties, which is all good. I want to keep that. Okay. Configure new settings. Okay, now we'll say apply this to all. Now I can say 192.168.0.242 and hash 2, because this hash 3 means 2.2.3.4. 2.3.4. So hash 2 should be 42 and 43. Right? Are you with me? Okay. Let's see what happens. Because it's been a while I used that, and let's see overall impact. No impact. Yes. Good. Because what I usually do, I don't use typically template mode. I go one by one, so I don't have to specify IPs again. I'm not good with numbers. I just keep forgetting them. But in just to demonstrate here, I just went with it and it's all good. No impact. So how about that? Next. And now migrate VM networking. And we don't have any VM at the moment, right? So that's fine. Host to add 3, physical adapter 9, updated VM network 2, reassign VM network 3, and finish. And let's see what happens. If it's all good, we shouldn't have any problems. Let me try to ping 192.168.0.241 minus T and another ping 192.168.0.242 minus T. And ping 192.168.0.243 minus T. Okay. And by the way, it's all complete. Oh my god. Okay. Now let's see. We have distributed switch, vSwitch 1, dvSwitch 2. vSwitch 1, if I go, there is nothing. So can I delete it? Of course you can. But there is a VM network though. Uh, that's fine. I'm not gonna use, you're not gonna use this VM network. So yes. Refresh, refresh. Okay. And now remove. vSwitch 0. It's gone. And this is the distributed switch one, which shows we have a 1 VM kernel port, which is 192.168.241, which is management one, and 3 uplinks. No VM, correct? And vSwitch 1, which is iSCSI, correct? Same thing goes for ESXi2, vSwitch 0. We don't need this VM network, so let's delete this. Let's delete this time. Direct. Gone. In the first case, I deleted first port group and then the switch. Second scenario, or the second example, I just directly deleted and switch with the empty port group. And here dvSwitch, good, ESXi3, get rid of this. Let's get rid of this switch also. Don't need this. Alright, so this is it. So now we have 3 uplink ports, which is 3 NICs. See? VM NIC 0, VM NIC 1 and VM NIC 2. These 3 NICs are used by this dvSwitch. Remember I told you about the load balancing policies, right? So now let's move to the load balancing policies. So let's go to data center and let's go to dvSwitch again, and this is the policy. Things, yeah. Yeah, okay. What policy mode you want? VLANs or teaming and failover? I want teaming and failover. The way they pose the control load balancing. If you want traffic filtering and marking and making, or some traffic shaping or security, like if you want to change, control the promiscuous mode or MAC changes, MAC address, you can, I mean the MAC address security changes, you can go for this. My main concern right now is teaming and failover. Select distributed group, port group. I can select these both. I have management network and VM kernel. Correct. And next. And you see, we have 3 active, all 3 active. I can make them standby, but no need, because we have something very sweet in distributed switch, which is route based on physical NIC load. And that's what I want. This is the difference maker policy. You don't have this setting on standard switch based on physical NIC load. You want that. Next, number of port groups selected, yes. Teaming failover, finish. So both of my port groups, that policy is set. Let me show you. If I go to ESXi1 real quick, and go to vSwitch. It's a standard switch, right? Go to this properties and go to teaming and failover. We don't have route based on, uh, load based on physical load. No physical load policy there. Network load. See? IP hash, if you will use this if you want to configure the ether channel. You know, if you have like a Cisco switch and you are using ether channel, or in HP you are configuring a trunk, then you will use the IP hash. It requires a spatial configuration in the switch. Source MAC hash and originating virtual port doesn't require any spatial configuration. But again, they are not real load balancing. So that's the idea. So our dvSwitch is there and it's alive and well and kicking. Of course, in dvSwitch you can create as many port groups you like. You can even isolate network cards. For example, what if I move my iSCSI to dvSwitch and then I want that dISCSI port group should use only VMNIC3. I can do that because VMNIC3 is connected to a switch which is connected to my storage. other NICs are not connected to it. So if I select route automatically load balance, what if we try to use vmnic2 for iSCSI or vmnic1 for iSCSI? It will not find the storage through that because those physical NICs are not connected to a switch which has access to or which is connected directly to iSCSI storage. Right? So that's the thing. You have all your flexibility in your hand. So dvSwitch is definitely something really good, and that's how you do it. You see here port groups, as I mentioned one earlier. We have port group, distributed port groups. I can create another port group. For example, I can say dvMotion. I want to use it for vMotion, which is a type of VM kernel, right? I can create here no VLAN, nothing, and that's it. Or D, for example, VM network 2, or maybe you have a DMZ network, VDMZ, or other network, or D voice network. Depends. It all depends on your network topology. Later on, you will see I will create a VM kernel, another VM kernel network for vMotion in inside dvSwitch. So you will see how to create VM kernel networking for dvSwitch. This is typically normal DV port group, right? But if you go to networks here, there is nothing. There is distributed switch. So if I want to create a VM kernel networking, how I will do that? Of course, I can always go here and I can make changes what I want and migrate my virtual networking if I need to and do other stuff. Let me just show you quick the settings for distributed switch. Right now it has 3 uplinks. If I add another network card to my ESXi and I want that network card to be used here, I can increase the number of uplink here. Okay, so this is it, guys. That's it for dvSwitch, and in later video I will show you how to add VM kernel networking. For example, we will use vMotion, right, in our cluster. So we will create another VM kernel network or dvm kernel network uh, for our distributed switch, and we'll see how to use that in dvSwitch. So see you then, and take it easy.